Have you ever done a piano finger exercise that actually made your hand feel worse? If so, you're not alone. In fact, some of the most commonly recommended exercises, even from professionals, often lead to tension and injury. But not to worry, because in this video, I'm going to show you the one exercise you can do that's not only going to improve your fingers at the piano, but it's going to teach you the right way to move. Best of all, it's going to be comfortable. Let's start by talking about the problem with traditional finger exercises. You've probably seen a lot of finger exercises like this, where you hold down all the keys and then just play one finger at a time, or maybe try to do different combinations of fingers, things like that. The idea being that these exercises will make each finger become independent, which should help us play piano better, right? But we have some problems here. First of all, our fingers actually don't have muscles in them. So doing these sort of exercises, sort of the equivalent of doing pull-ups and things like that, it's not going to work with our fingers. If our fingers had muscles in them, then concert pianists would have big, bulky fingers like Olympic athletes, sort of a thing. And so the muscles that control the fingers actually lie in the palm and in the forearms. So first off, these exercises are not going to strengthen anything. And then second, it's going against our natural biology, because fingers 3, 4, and 5 share connective tissue and tendons. So trying to do these exercises to artificially separate them from each other and make them more independent, you're not only not going to reach your goal, but you're likely going to injure yourself. And so when we talk about strengthening our fingers, we need to change the definition here. It's not a literal strengthening of the fingers, but we're enhancing the entire mechanism, incorporating the wrist, the arm, things like that, so that we get that sound and feeling of the fingers independent while working with our body's natural anatomy. And I'm going to show you how to do that. This exercise I'm going to show you is going to incorporate two components. First, let's talk about how the sound is actually produced at the piano. That's going to give you a fundamental understanding of what we're going for here. And so when we play a key, there's really no power or strength involved. We play a key that activates a hammer that vibrates the string, and once that key is down, no amount of strength, no amount of pressing is ever going to change that tone. So when you think about it, what creates the sound is the speed of the key strike. So the first thing we want to do is get into a habit of playing with, if we want to get a loud sound, for example, getting a fast action, and then releasing as much as we can. So again, no strength or power involved, just action and release, action and release, action and release. And then the second comment is forearm alignment. And this is something that's critical, especially when we're playing fingers 3, 4, and 5, to achieve that sound of independence while working with our body. The idea here is that we're trying to make a straight line from our forearm to whichever finger is playing. And so using the wrist and the forearm, we're going to sort of make these little wrist circles like this. And so there's a line from my forearm to my thumb, to my second finger, to my third, fourth, fifth. So if you're used to playing your fifth finger kind of like this, and especially if you've done these exercises, a way to kind of prove this to yourself is go ahead and just adjust this wrist and arm, so your hand's like this. Try playing that fifth finger again. It's going to be so much more comfortable because your arm, the mechanism, is supporting that finger in a natural way. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying this, be sure to subscribe. My name's Jonathan, and on this YouTube channel, we provide practical tutorials like this to speed up your piano progress. So how do we practice this? My favorite exercise is Hanon number 1 for this. If you can master this exercise with these concepts, it could very well be the only piano finger exercise that you ever need, because everything else basically builds off of these concepts, whether it's in official finger exercises or in the music that you're actually playing. And so to play this, the right hand will start on, say, middle C. You can do this in any key, but traditionally it's done in C major. So you start with thumb on C, you're going to skip up with finger 2, and then steps up to finger 5, and then steps down until we get to D, and then the pattern repeats again and again. And when we do this, we want to think about two things. One is relaxing with each strike of the key, and then the second is making those sort of wrist circles we talked about that's going to help the arm alignment. So for the right hand going up, we're going to go downward circles with our wrist, upward, like this. Down, up. I'm still leading with a fast finger action to get a nice healthy sound, but I'm supporting the entire mechanism, or I'm supporting each finger, I should say, with the entire mechanism. So again, the idea of the wrist circles here is to work that arm alignment we've been talking about. Left hand is the same concept, just sort of a mirror image. So with the left hand, we'll start with sort of an upward circle like this, and then downward, upward, downward. And then if you try this hands together, they'll just sort of do the opposite. And again, we're not going to treat this like many traditional piano teachers do, where it's just a finger exercise, totally locked in, just focusing on the fingers. We're using this exercise to work on the entire mechanism for healthy playing. Another add-on that you can use with this is trying to control the sound with crescendos and decrescendos as you go up and down the pattern. So getting louder, softer. So again, still working that arm alignment, but we're also adding in a little bit of musicality. As I get louder, I just use a faster finger action. As I get slower, I use a slower finger action. And remember, this is not a workout. I can't say that enough. So if anything feels tense, if anything feels uncomfortable, or worst of all, if you feel pain, this isn't like doing workouts like push-ups and running and things like that, where we have this discomfort and then suddenly it starts feeling better. This is totally different. So if you're feeling any of those sensations, take a step back, review these concepts, go through it slowly. The most important part here is that we're learning to play with freedom and with no pain or discomfort. And if this helped you, I have another video I think you'll love. These are the 4 most common techniques mistakes I see in beginners and intermediate students and how to fix them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.